All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little video today on the San Francisco Giants. And make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. They got two locations. They're in Emeryville, open Wednesday through Sunday, and they are in Corte Madera, open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. The brisket is amazing. Check it out. All right, let's talk a little Giants baseball. Giants are back. It's April, and we're getting some early indications of the Giants. And I guess the first question is, which Giants team is the real Giants team? The one that looked totally anemic at times and totally overmatched in New York City against the Yankees in that first series, or the one that went to the south side of Chicago and just hammered all kinds of home runs against the Chi Sox in that second series? Which one's the mirage? Which one is the real Giants? And what kind of team is it going to be this year? Well, I look at the Giants this year, and I think it's a really interesting team from the standpoint of their nightmarish offseason. They wanted Aaron Judge, didn't happen. They wanted Carlos Correa. We all know it all didn't work out. And so they pivoted, and they brought in Mitch Haniger, and they brought in Michael Conforto. They re-signed Jock Peterson, and they did it with numbers, and we're going to find out how that worked as the season progresses. They don't have that headliner, but that doesn't necessarily matter. They didn't necessarily have a headliner outside of Buster Posey, a big time headliner. And in this year, they won 107 games, and yet they still found a way to win and win and win the most games in the history of the franchise. Even that, thinking back on that, it's hard to believe. But here's the problem that I see with the Giants. The one positive that I'm encouraged by is that they got a lot of power up and down the lineup. Like if you talk to Gabe Kapler, he would say, "You know what? We got a bunch of guys who can hit double-digit home runs." I mean, let's go through the list of guys on the Giants this year that potentially could hit 10 home runs. Blake Sable, no doubt. Joey Bart's on the disabled list right now. We don't know about his future, but he's definitely has 10 home run power. Hit 11 last year in half a season. Lamont Wade could hit 10. Wilmer Flores easily could pump out 10. Brandon Crawford's got enough power where he's likely to run into 10 home runs. J.D. Davis for sure is going to hit 10. He's got tremendous power. Jock Peterson may hit 30. He's got a lot of power. Mike Yastrzemski may not even hit 200, but guess what? He can hit the ball over the fence. He's probably good for 10, 15 home runs. Conforto could hit you 10. Haniger might be their home run leader if he can somehow get on the field and stay healthy. That's very much a question, but Haniger's had close to 40 in his career. David Villar had a tremendous power year for the Giants last year in the minor leagues. They just signed Gary Sanchez to a minor league deal. I expect Sanchez to be up here. Sanchez hit one of the longest home runs in the history of the ballpark. He almost hit the glove in deep left center a couple years ago when the Yankees rolled in. You think of Tyro Estrada as an athlete and a middle infielder, but he's got power or at least pop, and he can hit the ball over the fence. I wouldn't be totally shocked if a guy like Austin Slater had 10. If you told me that Luis Gonzalez came off the DL this year and hit 10, that wouldn't shock me. And who knows, maybe one of these years, Elliot Ramos comes out of the minor leagues and figures it all out. And if he does, there's no doubt that he has 10 home run power. So you got a bunch of guys there. I probably named 15 guys right there that could potentially hit 10 home runs. But here's the problem. The Giants are really an all or nothing ball club. In their wins, they've hit like 15 home runs. Let's say they're 3-4 out of the chute coming into Saturday's game. They've hit 15 home runs in their 3 wins. In their 4 losses, they have 16 total hits, and most of them are singles. Now you think of, well, what are they going to do in their home ballpark? Oracle Park is not a place that is good to hit home runs in. It's a difficult place to get the ball out. Now, if you get a warm day in the summertime, there are days where the park plays small. And we've seen it. We've all seen it. The park's played small on certain days, especially warm days, especially in the warmth of the summer. You get the warmer weather. You get any kind of a heat spell in July or August. The ball plays small, or the ballpark, I should say, plays small. But otherwise, it's a very difficult place to hit one out. The Giants haven't had a 30 home run hitter since Barry Bonds, and it's because of how difficult it is to hit home runs in their home ballpark. So it's not just that the park is not conducive to home run hitting, it's that the Giants seem to be kind of an all or nothing group, and it doesn't bother them. Lamont Wade hit 207 last year with a horrendous on base percentage. He is their leadoff hitter. He's their leadoff hitter. Why? Because he's got power. And they're going to trade power for on base percentage or power. Actually, his on base percentage has been awesome to start the year, but they're going to trade power for contact. And they're willing to make that trade. That's kind of like the new modern baseball. Who cares if you hit 280? It's more important that you hit 20 home runs. So the Giants are totally bought in. They're going to sell out for power. They're going to lead off guys like Wade. They've got power up and down the lineup. But can they hit the ball out of their home yard? And I just think that there's a very good chance that in this big ballpark that the Giants will not hit as many they won't be able to hit home runs. Of those guys, there's a few of them that have huge power. Gary Sanchez has huge power. Even Joey Bart has unbelievable bat speed, which can equate to significant power. But a lot of those guys don't have, light tower power. A lot of them just have pop. And a lot of those guys aren't 25, 30 home run guys. They're more like 10 home run guys. And are those guys going to be able to hit the ball out of this ballpark? And if not, what percentage of runs can the Giants score when they don't hit the ball out of the ballpark? How are they going to score runs when they don't rely on home runs? If they can hit it out of the park, yeah, they're going to score runs. But how many runs are they going to score if they don't hit it out? And I just think that the Giants this year may be a team that when they go out on the road, they're going to win a bunch of games because their power's going to play and the ball's going to jump, especially outside of the NL West, especially this year with the schedule where there's limited games in the NL West. If you look at the breakdown of the ballparks, tough to hit them at Dodger Stadium, right? Really tough to hit them in San Diego, tough to hit them in San Francisco. It's really easy to hit the ball out in Coors, but not as easy as it used to be. And Chase Field in Arizona, now they've got the humidor, so plays a little bit more fair, but that's a pretty live yard. But my whole point is that they're going to play less games in the division, so you have less games at Dodger Stadium, less games at Petco. So that means that you're probably going to hit a lot of home runs on the road. And I could see the Giants all year kind of doing what they did in Chicago to the White Sox, where they're hitting all kinds of home runs on the road. But then when they come home, and they're so reliant on the home run ball because they don't really rally and manufacture runs, I think they're going to struggle to score runs. And then what's the other part of their ballpark what's the other characteristic? It has a huge outfield, and it really rewards up the middle defense. And now going back to Gary Sanchez, Blake Sable, those guys may catch a ton. Brandon Crawford's an older player, a 35, 36-year-old shortstop. Estrada's in his prime, but you got older Yaz in center field. So the Giants' outfield defense last year was one of the worst in all of baseball, and they've got a huge, huge outfield in their home ballpark. So mix in the fact that they aren't this elite defensive team, that they lost a guy like Carlos Rodon, who was a true number one starter. Pitching and defense rules the day at Oracle Park. But the Giants' defense is ordinary. And the Giants' pitching, I think, is going to be above average, but it doesn't really have that dominant number one starter. So is the pitching and defense going to lead them? I don't know, but my concern really is that I think there's a very good chance this year that the Giants go out on the road, hit all kinds of home runs, and leave us thinking, can't wait till they come home. And then they're going to come home, and they're not going to hit the ball out. And because they've been leaning so much on the home run ball, they're not going to score runs. And if you don't score runs and you don't get easy runs, you're not going to get easy wins. And I think there's a very good chance the Giants may struggle this year in their home ballpark because they don't hit it out. And they're so reliant on the home run ball. It's such a high percentage of their total runs scored is going to be the home run ball that I think they're going to lean on the home run ball on the road. They're going to try to, replicate that formula at home, and it ain't going to work. So if it's April, and there's a lot of baseball to be played, and I'm not, trying to fall, big alarm here, on April 10th or April 8th or whatever it is. We got to see how the season plays out. But one thing to keep your eye on if you're a Giants fan, I think they may kick butt this year on the road because of all the depth of power hitters they have. But since they rely so much on that way to rally and score runs, and they don't have high average guys, they're not going to consistently rally. They're gonna get sat down by some of the better pitchers. The combination of that and their home ballpark dimensions, I think they're going to be challenged this year at home. That would be my prediction here in the first part of April, is that the Giants they're gonna pound out all kinds of home runs on the road, and I think they're gonna win lots of games. I think it's gonna be a fun watch, and I can't wait to watch them in some of these more live yards because I think they do have power up and down the lineup, and I think it plays on the road. But when they get home, are those hitters going to be able to reach the seats? And if not, are the Giants going to be able to mount consistent rallies and score consistent runs and win games consistently? And at this point, I think that's my concern, that they're going to struggle in their home yard. All right, hope you enjoyed my Giant video, a little perspective on the early part of the season. Thanks for Pig and a Pickle being a proud sponsor of The Krug Show. Check them out in Corte Madera and Emeryville. And thanks for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.